Yo, how's it going, YouTube? Back in the video, and today I'm going to be talking about how the Boston Celtics pulled off one of the most underrated moves in the entire NBA offseason. And now I know they are currently in talks for Kevin Durant with Jaylen Brown, Cinder trade, but that is not what this video is about. This video is about them trading for Malcolm Brogdon earlier on in the offseason. And when it first happened, a good amount of people were talking about it, but not a lot of people were still talking about it. And I think that is a major move going forward. Even if they don't get Durant, I think the Celtics have solidified themselves as the favorite of the Eastern Conference going in the next season, at least a top 2 team in the Eastern Conference next season. So I think this move was very underrated, and I'm beginning to the trade package itself, the value they got it, and just other reasons why I think this was such a good trade for the Boston Celtics. So if that does sound interesting to you in this video, hit the like button and subscribe button at any point. It would mean the absolute world of me. But without further ado, without running on too much, just get right into this video. Okay, so the first thing I want to get into this video is going to be the trade package itself, which was the Boston Celtics received Malcolm Brogdon, and the Indiana Pacers got in return Aaron Naismith, Daniel Theis, Malik, a last name I can't pronounce, Juan Morgan, and a 2023 first round pick. So overall, the trade really wasn't that big when it came to pieces moving. The Celtics didn't really give up anyone of value. You can argue Daniel Theis because he did play a minor role, but Malcolm Brogdon is going to be more than enough to replace that role. And the only other thing they really gave up of any value is a 2023 first round pick, and although it is a first round pick, it's going to be in the late 20s or 30s, assuming that this team stays healthy. So I think for sure this trade was very, very good for kind of both sides, because the Indiana Pacers get Aaron Naismith, who although hasn't really done anything in the NBA so far, is still a young player to have and cool to trade for. Daniel Theis is a solid big man in the league, and then you're also getting a first round pick for a rebuilding team, which is also always valuable for the Pacers. But if you look at the Celtics, they get Malcolm Brogdon, a borderline all-star player, at pretty much very, very little cost to them, and that is exactly what my first reason is going to be the value they were able to get Malcolm Brogdon for. As like I said earlier, they just got a borderline all-star level point guard for basically nothing, and that is always a good thing when you can do that. And he can also efficiently run an offense as the #1 point guard. He's great at scoring the ball, he's great at passing the ball, he can get his teammates involved. He's just a very good all-around point guard player who does everything you want your point guard to do. And to get that for only a late first rounder who's probably not even going to start his first year and probably might not even ever see the floor depending on who they pick at that late first round, and then Daniel Theis, who's just a solid role player who is replaceable, that is unbelievable value, and that's if he stays healthy. Now, he does have injury issues, and that's been the biggest knock on his career to this point, that he just cannot stay healthy for that much. But if he is able to stay healthy and at least be there for the playoffs, then it could be a huge addition to this team for something they got so cheap that they almost, like, the move almost isn't going to hurt them at all, because even if Brogdon does get hurt, they still have their main core of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart to stick together, and they can still be a very good playoff team. Like we saw this year, they made the damn NBA Finals, and I don't think Daniel Theis is the difference between them making the finals and not. So for sure, the Celtics, even if Malcolm Brogdon does get injured this season, this trade really doesn't hurt them, and that's why the value what they were able to get Brogdon for is so good for the Boston Celtics. My next reason for his video is going to be that they fit almost perfectly together. Brogdon would almost be the perfect point guard for this team, as he is a better ball handler than Marcus Smart was last year. He's a better scorer than Marcus Smart was last year. The only real thing he's not better than is obviously his defense, but he's not a slouch on defense either. It's just Marcus Smart is a very good defender, as we saw, because he won Defensive Player of the Year just last year. But I mean, outside of that, he fits them almost perfectly, and this is going to allow them to run a starting lineup of Malcolm Brogdon at the point guard position, Marcus Smart at the shooting guard position, Jaylen Brown at the small forward position, Jason Tatum at the power forward, and then Al Horford at the 5. Now, I know that is a pretty small lineup, and it might not be the exact lineup they run out. They could move Marcus Smart to the bench if they absolutely want to, but I don't think they're going to, and I think that lineup is more than capable of working. Jason Tatum is 6'8", so it's not like he is too small to play the 4 position. He will be an undersized one, and he's not the strongest one, but he can still play that position somewhat effectively, and other 4s are not going to be able to guard Jason Tatum as well on the perimeter, so it could even out fairly easily. And I think for sure this team is going to be very hard to guard, because Malcolm Brogdon is now going to be the 3rd option on the team, and Al Horford is going to be the 4th option on a team. Like, do you know how good that is going to be offensively? Al Horford can take over a game in any series we saw in the playoffs, which he did last year a few times. Malcolm Brogdon is an all-star level player that is going to be on your 3rd best defender. Jason Tatum is a superstar who can score on anyone, and then Jaylen Brown is just another all-star level player who can do everything on a basketball court. So it's going to be very, very hard to guard them, and then you have to deal with Marcus Smart on the other end, guarding your best player and hounding you on defense and things like that. And it's just going to be a very bad time when you play a team like the Boston Celtics due to how deep they are and how good their starting lineup could possibly be. And that's why I think Malcolm Brogdon fits them so perfectly, because I think he fills the role that the Boston Celtics needed, a true point guard that can do everything, and that is exactly what Brogdon does. Now, I'm not saying Marcus Smart was a bad point guard or anything like that. It's just I don't think Smart is a true point guard that Malcolm Brogdon is, and I think he's going to be able to get Jason Tatum more open looks, he's going to be able to get Jaylen Brown more open looks, and he's just going to help everyone offensively and everywhere on the court. So I think for sure Brogdon is one of the better fits for the Boston Celtics they could have asked for going into this offseason. And now the last thing I want to get for this video is going to be the depth that they have on this team now, because obviously, like I said, they have that starting five that's going to consist of Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Al Horford, but then they also have unbelievable depth going into this season. Now they're going to have players like Derek White, who played very good for them last season, Robert Williams, who had an amazing year for them last season and is one of the better shot blockers in the entire league. Grant Williams is a great role player, Peyton Pritchard, Danilo Gallinari, who they just added. So really, they're going into this year with one of the best starting lineups in the entire league, with about 3 all-star level players, 1 extremely good role player in Al Horford, and then one of the best perimeter defenders in the entire league. And then they have a bench that has Derek White, who played, like I said, unbelievable for them in the playoffs a few games. Pretty much did win them game 1 in the playoffs in the NBA Finals last year. Robert Williams, who although was injured, still made huge impacts and even threw off Steph Curry's inside game a little bit because of how good his shot blocking was. Grant Williams is one of those dog type players that everyone loves to have off their bench. Peyton Pritchard can score when he wants to. He's a great shooter. And then Danilo Gallinari is going to be a great veteran they just added this year who can still score about 10 points a game if you need him to. So I think for sure this bench is also going to be one of the best benches in the NBA, and that's why I think this move is so underrated, because it helps them in so many different ways, helps them in such just ways that they need it, really. And my biggest thing last year why I had the Warriors winning the NBA Finals was because I didn't feel that the Boston Celtics had anyone outside of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum that was good enough to impact the game enough on the offensive end to help them beat the Golden State Warriors. But now they have Malcolm Brogdon, who can give you about 20-25 points any game that he plays, and then you add on top of what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to give you, plus Al Horford becoming your 4th option, plus your bench getting deeper. I think for sure now they can easily compete with the Golden State Warriors and maybe even bring them to a 7-game series, or even win that series if they were to rematch right now. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this goes. And if Malcolm Brogdon stays healthy, I think the Boston Celtics are now the favorites out of the Eastern Conference going into next season. And then obviously everybody else has to stay healthy as well. But unfortunately, guys, that's me for this video. So comment below. Do you agree with me? Do you think that the Boston Celtics made a very good move here? Do you think it was good? Do you think it was bad? Do you think the trade was good, bad? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And do you like the video, point hit the like button, subscribe button, mean the absolute word to me. And I hope you have a blessed day. Have a blessed day, side. You need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.